back to Chaturanga chess lessons. Elise, how are you doing?
I am really good. How are you?
All right, I heard something about you this week.
Oh,
I heard you're planning to play in a chess tournament this weekend.
that is true.
Elise is taking the approach of playing in her first chess tournament before she has a firm grasp on all the principles of chess. She knows the moves.
But is it possible for anyone to ever truly have a firm grasp on all of the moves of chess?
It's a good point. I play chess as well, with only a limited grasp of the game. That's a good point. I noticed last lesson you were having a little trouble naming the squares.
That's true.
So to get you ready for the tournament today, we're really going to focus on naming the squares. So we're going to do everything from White's point of view, letters A through H for the files, and numbers 1 through 8 for the ranks.
So if I had black, would it still do that?
It's still from White's point of view. It's
so,
kind of unfortunate.
Like the black queen is in row 8.
That's right. The black queen is on the square A8.
Okay.
Also last time, I don't know if you remember, but you made short work of the tactics puzzle at the beginning.
I don't know if it was short work, but...
Well, I thought I'd give you a slightly harder one this time.
Okay.
But I'll give you the hint to know that for White, it's checkmate in 4 moves. So I'll let you think about it.
Okay, so I want to move the knight.
Move the knight? And
So
where would
how
you like
would I
to
do
move
it?
it?
Is it a K? Would I say K?
For knight, we actually use the letter N. And the reason we use the letter N is there's another piece that uses the letter K. Can you imagine what piece that is?
King, but that's
the
funny.
king.
So the knight is...
It's the letter N. It's silly. It's not English.
Why not just say H, the horsey?
I could deal with H. That's
Okay.
fine. If you like, you're allowed to do that, to use H, but you have to be consistent.
Oh, really?
You can't use H for the horse sometimes and for the bishop other times.
That's awesome. But I will refrain. I'll just use N to not be weird right
Okay.
now. Okay, so N to F7?
Perfect. In F7, that's a check. And it's a good move to check first, because black only has one legal response.
Which is to move.
To move the king, to put the king on G8. And with that king on G8, now things get a little tricky because we have a few options.
Well, my queen is currently being, threatened by that nasty
By the
little
black rook. Good observation, right?
But there's nothing I can really do to protect my queen, but I could do something that forces black to move again with their knight.
Okay.
With their king.
Okay.
The other K. So if I were to move the knight to H6.
Yeah, that's a double check. A check with both the queen and the knight. And the nice thing about a double check is the opponent must always move their king in response. So we have 2 legal king moves. I'm going to show you one first.
Well, it's to either side.
That's right. And this one, the checkmate's pretty easy to find. So I'm going to see if you can find the checkmate. It's checkmate in 1
I love
move.
how you say it. It's super easy to find.
I know that puts pressure on you, sorry.
Yeah.
But there is a checkmate in 1 move if you can find it.
In 1 move. I mean, to put the queen at F7?
That's right. The queen will be attacking the king. King has nowhere to go, and it'll be checkmate.
Okay.
Okay.
But that's not the way
That's not the hard direction. And this checkmate is famous enough that it has a name. It's called Lasker's mate.
Lasker's?
So it's named for Emanuel Lasker, a famous philosopher, playwright, Dr. Emanuel Lasker, and chess player who was chess champion from sometime in the 1890s to 1921.
Interesting.
Yep. If we have time at the end today, I'm going to give you a chance to...
I'd love to learn more about his plays.
Yeah. Maybe next lesson. Okay, now this one's not so easy. So as white, I'll just tell you, it's checkmate in 2 moves.
I'm very confused. Okay, so if I attack with the queen to G8,
okay,
then, the rook can kill the king.
That's right.
The queen, and then the knight would get the rook, but then the queen would get the knight. So that's not a good move.
Everything was great until you said knight takes the rook. So look carefully. Once the rook has taken the queen, how many moves does that king have?
None. Oh.
Oh, your eyes lit up.
I
What
get
would you
it.
like to play?
Okay, so queen to, so that would be Q.
Q.
Okay. Queen, or Q, G8.
Great. And we're going to play the only legal move.
Mhm.
King can't take because of the knight. And now?
And then knight, so N, F7.
Yeah, and this kind of mate, where it's mate just because black's king is kind of boxed in by his own pieces, is called a smother mate.
A smother mate.
Yes. So congratulations on it.
Kind of like when the queen takes the pillow and puts
Yep.
the...
Queens often, actually, I think only the knight can deliver a smother mate.
Right,
because nothing's actually
can't
touching
jump
the
over,
king, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
Like that?
Very cool.
Okay, we have a short game today. So that should be fun. This game is from a tournament I played in Hastings, England
Ooh.
in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
My opponent was a little lower rated, and I had to win this game. Okay, I had black.
Because your face was on the line.
Well, no, I had to win because I had a chance at an international master norm.
Ah.
And to get there, I had to win this game to have,
Did
have
you
a
get
chance.
it?
I did not get the norm that time.
Oh.
In the last round, it's a technical reason, but
Okay.
I'll make that excuse. I certainly played well enough. Okay, he played e4,
Mm-hmm.
nice natural move, and I played a provocative first move.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why does that look a little suspicious? Bringing my knight out right away like that.
Because you're not defending anything, you're just attacking.
Yeah, I'm
You're not
attacking
opening
that
up any
pawn.
pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that pawn can come forward and attack my knight, grab space,
Yeah.
attack my knight. My knight has to move. He can attack it again. So this is very provocative. Okay. Now, what's interesting, he did what players often do when they meet this unusual opening. He played knight c3 and just defended the pawn.
Okay, is that the best move?
It's not the best move. The best move is pawn to e5. Take some space and put some pressure on black.
Yeah, why wouldn't you want to do that?
He's worried we're going into lines that I know really well, and he does not. And it does make very sharp positions.
It does push everything
Right.
up. Okay.
Right. So most players as black here in most books recommend pawn to d5
Mm-hmm.
to get to stay in an unclear position.
Mm-hmm.
But black has an unusual option here. He can play e5,
Mm-hmm.
and now we have a position that's very slightly better for white.
Mm-hmm.
This is called the Vienna game, named after the beautiful Austrian capital.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But this position was very popular about 100 years ago, back when Emanuel Lasker was playing.
Okay.
So there's lots of theory on it,
Mm.
but no one today knows it because people don't play it today. So now, in a sense, I have tricked my opponent into playing an opening that I have studied very carefully, and he likely has not even looked at.
Okay.
And he's aware of this, so he's going to try to play very solid moves. He transposed this opening has the very creative name of the Four Knights opening.
Yeah.
And natural moves here are bishop c4, d4, bishop b5. But he played a passive move, bishop to e2. And I decided, well, if he's
So he's played two passive moves now.
That's right. Knight c3 was a little passive and defensive. I apologize for that. And bishop e2 with a little passive. So now I decided, I'm happy. I'm going to try to play for a win. Okay, now, there's some valuable lessons in this game. One, when you're white, especially when your opponent's higher rated, you want to play a sharp game. Because if we play a quiet game, it's going to go 80 moves, more chances for him to make little mistakes, or her to make little mistakes, and me to catch up. Okay, so I grabbed some space, and he sort of did the right thing for a couple moves. And I wanted you to talk to me about this position. So what's happened, what's going on? We can talk about material first, and then maybe pawns. How does the material look?
I mean, you're the only one with center stage.
Right, that's very true. That's an important positional consideration. But how about material? Who has more rooks, more bishops, more knights, more pawns?
I mean,
what's the material situation?
You're pretty similar, aren't
you? The material situation is equal.
Yeah,
right?
Okay.
You're right, I do have more of the center. What about pawn structure? If we were to go into an endgame...
He's got a double pawn.
He's got double pawns. Yeah. And the problem there, if we got to an endgame, like to a king and pawn ending, for example, I can make a passed pawn over here. He can't really make a passed pawn very easily over here unless I make a mistake.
Right.
Okay, so I have an advantage for the endgame. If I have an advantage for the endgame, what's a move I can make here to get me closer to the endgame? If it's black's move.
I mean, you could mess with the the knight.
I could mess with the knight. It's a little dangerous to mess with that knight because I've not developed pieces.
Yeah.
And my king's in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to get to the end game, I'd like to trade queens.
Ah.
So I traded queens.
Is that a way to speed things up?
It's a way to get toward the end game. And I'll tell you the truth.
Okay, because when you say toward the end game, perhaps I don't really understand.
By end game, I mean we're mostly thinking about, there aren't many pieces left.
Mm-hmm.
We're mostly thinking about who's going to queen a pawn. That's really about the end game. So there's not much left. Okay. Now this is not quite the end game. I would call this a queenless middle game.
So there's been like battlefield carnage.
That's right.
And
pieces
after
are coming
that,
off. Right.
Okay.
So now, if my opponent would allow it, I'd be happy to trade every piece off but the kings and play that position we talked about. I'd make a pass pawn here, over here, and while this king was dealing with that pawn, I would go eat up his pawns over here. And
Goodness.
Yep. That would
I
be
hope actual military generals don't think like this.
I hope so too. But black is actually in some danger here. I have to be careful because white's ahead in development. He's castled, his rook's on d1, his bishop's on e2. So I need to keep things going quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I need to keep my pieces coming out, and white needs to do some damage before we hit that end game. Okay. So I played what I thought was a natural move. I developed a piece and attacked a bishop, and he moved a piece twice. Okay. When a player moves a piece twice early in the game, they have a plan.
So he moved the bishop one move ago, and then he just moved it again.
Yeah, he moved it a few moves ago, but he moved it again before developing his other pieces, before getting others into the game. So he's trying to make a threat. Okay,
so he all of a sudden, he made a passive move, but now he's like...
Now he's decided he's ahead in development. I'm going to be better at the end game. He better make something happen.
Okay.
So what's he threatening here?
Your knight.
He's threatening the knight. If he takes off the knight, what happens after that?
Then you get him, because he's...
I take his bishop, and then what? What important work is that knight doing?
Well, the knight is... work it's doing? I don't understand.
Yeah, that knight's actually serving a purpose right now. Or it was before his bishop moved.
I have no idea.
It's defending that pawn on e5. So his knight can't take it.
Okay.
Yeah, so his threat is to take and to take the pawn.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a natural move. I thought I saw his plan here. He's playing for a trick. Because when your opponent does something twice, they're being a little sneaky. So I thought I saw his plan. He's setting a trap. And I decided to fall into his trap.
Why?
Because I thought he missed an important move at the end of it. There was a little Capablanca, a famous world champion, called a sting in the tail at the end of the combination that he did not see.
A sting in the tail at the end of the combination.
That's his words, not mine. And he said it in Spanish, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
He was Cuban. Okay, I played here. He took the pawn, which I expected, and I was right. Doesn't that look like a crazy move?
Well, yeah, because he's losing his knight now.
So what's he thinking? What's he going to do after I take that knight?
Maybe something with the rook?
Yes. What's he going to do with that rook? It turns out he has a way he thinks he has a way to win back the piece. And I guess, I don't want to spoil anything.
You can always move the rook over one.
Exactly. And that's exactly what happened. Okay, he put the rook here. Now, here's where he messed up. I saw this position, and I kind of saw it coming. Black has a very nice move here. This could have been a tactical puzzle by itself. Black to play. I'm sure you'll edit that out. Black to play and mess with white. Black has a really nice move that's both defensive and offensive at the same time. And I can remind you, if you need a hint, I can let you know. But it's a tricky move. He didn't see it. He's a good player. He's playing in an international chess tournament in Hastings, England, and he missed this next move.
And it is both defensive and offensive at the same.
That's right. And remember, to get his piece back, his next move really needs to be what?
To take something, right?
To take that bishop.
Yeah.
Right? So if I can make a move where rook takes bishop loses, it's a pretty good move.
You could bring the pawn up f6.
Good point. I could bring the pawn to f6, but then he's going to play f4. And that bishop is pinned to the king. And he's going to get it back. Not a bad idea. But there's something even stronger. Make it so rook takes bishop loses. And if you want a hint, I can give it to you.
Please, I don't know.
First lesson, we dealt with a theme. that players have to watch out for to avoid getting checkmated. That theme was weak back rank. That rook is the only thing guarding white's back rank.
So if you moved your rook over to, if you were to castle?
Castle which way?
I mean, if you castle to the left, then the rook is where the king is, right?
No. If I castle to the left, the rook would be here on f8.
Ah. Oh, well, castle to the right then.
Very good. So we castle to the right.
Yeah, because then the rook can get into the back.
Yeah, now if rook takes bishop, rook d1. My opponent was so shocked, he made the worst possible chess move in any game. What is the worst possible thing you can do in a game?
Poor guy. Worst move
What's
ever.
the worst thing you can do in any game?
Tip your king over?
Yes, he resigned.
Oh, really?
Although
Oh
this
God.
game is still playable. He did not see. White has one move that's hard to see. So just as I moved out of the pin and made a threat of checkmate if he takes, he has a move that threatens another piece and gets rid of the checkmate threat. It's very clever. He did see it. He resigned. And now, naturally, I didn't tell him about it after the game because there can only be bad
if
feelings.
you moved the bishop to g5?
If he puts the bishop on g5, good try. I can play pawn to f6. If bishop g5, I can play pawn to f6, defending the bishop and blocking the attack on the rook. Okay, so you've got the idea. He needs to move something to attack something, but he's going to move something that makes it so that king is not just pinned on the back rank.
So if he moves one of his pawns,
yes,
then he could be attacking.
but you've got to pick the right pawn.
Move f2 to f4.
If he moves f2 to f4, I will move my dark square bishop, and I have an extra piece.
But then he can take it with his bishop.
If he plays f4, I don't take the pawn. I put the bishop back here.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, okay.
You've got the idea, though. But you see that stopped the back rank mate, right? Yeah, okay.
So if you moved the pawn on g2 to g4.
g4. This is the move. He resigned instead of playing this move. And now I have two pieces under attack. I can only save one of them. There's no back rank mate. He would have gotten his piece back. Now, I have a very good position here. I'm going to be up a pawn. Black has a way to play that I won't make you find. It's hard to see. Bishop takes pawn. When you're losing a piece anyway, and you give it up, that's called a desperado sacrifice, like the song by the Eagles.
Yeah.
Okay? Although I don't think it was named for the Eagles song. Maybe their song was named
now
for
you're
this.
down lots of pieces.
Well, actually, I've been taking pawns with each of those bishops. And what's the material situation now?
Well, yeah, I guess it's the same. Oh, no, you're up a couple of pawns.
Black is up one pawn.
Yeah, okay.
And white's pawns are a little worse.
Right.
White would have some hope, though, because it's opposite colored bishops.
Right.
So that gives you a chance in the end game. So instead of doing this and suffering, he resigned. But he didn't see this, I'm sure, because he would have played on. So I was careful. I was very polite. I didn't want to tell him after the game because it would hurt his feelings.
You saw him
push
it over.
Yeah, he turned over his king. I shook his hand, but the person on the next board saw this, of course, and wanted to show how smart he was. So immediately said, "What? You should have played g4." And then he looked very sad. He looked so sad, I still remember his name, yeah. Anyway,
what happened to him?
I don't know, he's probably a grandmaster now.
I don't know.
But I know,
but
resigning a draw game is sad. I thought of a different way to end today.
Oh,
and we'll see what you think of it. I thought I would ask you a question about chess culture. And I know you didn't know this was coming.
No.
So I was going to give you a choice. This could be chess culture about world chess or chess culture about American chess. I'll let you pick. World chess.
Do you know that in Chinese, the word for chess is international chess?
The word for the chess that we play.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's also a Chinese version.
So it makes me wonder, is international chess and American chess, like, are those two separate things?
I actually mean famous American players and famous players from the world.
God,
Chess culture. Oh,
I mean, I think I can name like two famous players.
Okay.
Ever.
Let's make that right now. So I just want to say, in the whole time...
I follow one of them on Twitter.
In the whole time... Oh, that'll be interesting to ask in just a second. I'm sure they'll appreciate that plug. So in the whole time that there's been a world chess rating list, there have only been 7 people at the top of it.
Oh.
Can you name any of them? So from the 1970s to now.
Was Bobby Fischer one of them?
Bobby Fischer was the first one. Very good. That could be an American question or a world question.
That was a pop
right.
culture.
I will.
There was a movie about him.
I will. I will save. I'll save the other questions till next time, so you can go out of this one, having answered the chess culture
Great.
question.
I feel so
That's
good.
important. Few people know it. He's the only official U.S. world champion. There was another one that has a big asterisk beside it. We won't go into that. But an American is playing this November in London for the world
Very exciting.
championship. Hint for the chess culture question next lesson. You may want to look that up.
I'll have to Google it, yeah.
Any comments from your end?
No, thank you. This has been fun.
Okay. Thanks for tuning in for Chaturanga chess lessons today. I'll be sure to let you know how Elise's first tournament goes.
Yeah, we'll try to take some video footage or at least some photos there. So hopefully it won't be too embarrassing. If I start losing to 8-year-olds, I might get a little upset, but
Till then, don't resign any positions that aren't lost, please.
Don't resign ever, Just go out in a flaming, ball of glory.
There's
right?
actually no benefit to be gained from resigning.
Cette ville me fait ressentir la solitude